here. Okay, let's get things started. Okay, one moment. We're just kind of just getting a few things calibrated right here. We're so glad you can join us for more Fansview Fridays. All right, good evening and welcome to Fansview Fridays. I am your host, Nadeshiko Gatsby, the Wisteria Cottage Witch. And I created this Fansview Fridays because I wanted to honor the memory of my friend, Kevin Lillard. Kevin Lillard was a very prominent figure in the anime and fandom world back in the late 90s all the way up to 2000s. He ran a website called Fansview, which ran from 1998 to about 2009. And in these reports here, he did a lot of conventions. He talked a lot about different conventions from all over the country, from Anime Expo, Otakon, Anime Central, and more. And you know what? I want to preserve his memory. His website has been down since it was taken down back in, I want to say, like around the 2010s after he had passed. So, what I want to do is I want to share you his memories, and I also want to share with you a time before 2024 when all of this was brand new, back when fandom was a totally niche thing. And we can look back at our past so we can move forward in the future. So take a trip I cannot speak right now. My apologies. Take a trip through time with me. And today we will be visiting Arlington, Virginia for Otakon 1998. We're switching some gears here. We've been doing Anime Expo for quite some time. And you know what? I've been receiving a lot of requests to do Otakon. My first Otakon was actually in 2013 during the late Baltimore era, if you remember the Baltimore Convention Center. And I've heard about Otakon since my first convention, Anime Expo 1999, and I heard so many great things about it. I was actually supposed to go in 2004, but unfortunately things happened. So, without any further ado, we're going to go forward in talking about Otakon 1998 in Arlington, Virginia. So, Otakon took place on August 7th, 8th, and 9th in 1998. And in a new hotel, the Hyatt Regency Crystal City, and a new location, Arlington, Virginia, Otakon drew a record number of fans. The guests of honor at Otakon were Shoji Kawamori of Macross and Hiroshi Aro, the creator of Futaba-kun Change manga. I may have heard of Futaba-kun Change. It sounds familiar because I remember I used to play with like a lot of virtual paper dolls like back in the late 90s. If you remember like a software called WKiss, and it was basically like a software where it's kind of like just anime paper dolls, and you like just with it's like anime dress up. It's kind of like how we now create like avatars with all these image generators, but this is just like you download an anime character. They come with various clothes you can put on them. And I do remember there was a Futaba-kun Change paper doll set, and you can change the gender from male to female if I remember that one correctly. Because I remember that one because it was very interactive because people really got creative with these paper dolls, these virtual paper dolls. So without further ado, let's see what went on day one. All right, Otakon day one highlights. It looks like we have a drawing of Rei Ayanami from Evangelion over there. All right, it is loading. All right, Otakon highlights. Day 1, August 7th, 1998. We take a look at the first people to arrive at the Hyatt Regency Crystal City. All right, let's see some of these first arrivals. Kind of see what the 90s were like. All right, first costumer spotted. Alum, complete with green hair and horns, but dressed for more demurely than Ippongi Bang's Lum from Project Akon 9. First Otakon staffer spotted Mitch Hagmeyer, making sure the lines were ready for the con goers. Otakon did an amazing job of quickly moving fans through the registration line. Yes, I always appreciate that Kevin, like during this era, would also take pictures of staffers who like just work so hard. Like, yeah, this is your staff hard at work. Okay, this looks like a familiar face. Ah, yes, Lydia. First initial contact with a previously unknown face but familiar name, Widia Santoso of Australia in a Gendo costume. Santoso has the web's largest collection of cosplay links. I wonder if it's still active. I wonder if we could like take a look at that at Internet Archive. He slipped over from competing Worldcon in Baltimore to see Otakon's Friday cosplayers. So it seemed like Worldcon, which is like a sci-fi fantasy con that's just like mostly attended by boomers, was also happening the same weekend. How interesting. And to burn several rolls of film taking pictures of them, Santoso loves cosplay and has a special appreciation for those who spend long hours to create costumes for hours exposure at events such as Otakon. Looks like we've got some cosplayers here from Kenshin. Mike and Chris are always together at anime cons. Mike improved his costume this time with a better red wig. He thought the old red wig made him look like Ronald McDonald. Yeah, back in the day, like, cosplay wigs were just really hard to come by. You either had to, like, go to a party city or get a party wig and just kind of figure out what to do with it. Spray your hair with some sort of, like, spray can color thing. Or just, like, try to find someone who knows someone in Japan to get like those fancy cosplay wigs. Okay, so unfortunately we do not have a picture of Megan and Heather. Here's Megan and Heather, best of show costumers from Katsucon, sneaking around their pet dragon are details of the Catgirl costumes they created for Otakon. I wish we could see their Catgirl costumes. Oh hey, it's a Catgirl from Escaflowne. We couldn't tell if their costumes would look this happy Catgirl drawing that greeted fans at the pre-registration line. That is Mickey Mouse in the Catgirl's mouth, by the way. Yeah, you can see like the hidden Mickey there. I do appreciate that, because remember, this is also back in the day when there was a lot of hostility within the anime fandom towards Disney for one reason or another. We still have the Kimba versus Simba thing going on, and this is also before the Atlantis versus Nadia thing going on. Unfortunately, we do not have a photo of Indiana's greatest anime-style video game artist, Robert D. Jesus of Crown Point. Managed to recover from a whirlwind trip to Anime Expo and was seated at the Otakon Artist Alley. Kuni Kimura of Studio Iron Cat was the company's first representative to appear at Otakon. He promised that artist Steve Bennett was somewhere within the vicinity. You know what? I actually did hang out with Steve Bennett online last night on Discord. We were just watching Maison Ikoku, and homeboy Steve decided to like just take a nap during that. I thought that was funny. And then of course there's Thomas Cardwell in the famed shampoo costume, carrying on pieces of the computer he planned to use to pre-register fans for the new NecoCon in October. Okay, that's just kind of like our early morning day one shenanigans of just people coming right in. All right, and we find some impressive costumers in the hotel's hall long before things get into full swing. Otakon highlights first cosplayers, August 7th, 1998. Otakon shared the Hyatt Regency Crystal City with an amazing selection of groups. An organization of doctors dealing with diseases of the larynx, a group of bowlers, and a group dealing with mental health. Oh, they would have loved a field day with us cosplayers. As far as we could tell, these pictures are of cosplayers only. So we have Captain Tyler over there. Looks like this is a registration going on. I want to say that's from Darkstalkers. Looks like we have some for Shugi Yugi folks over here. I'm actually going to an anime event tomorrow featuring Bridget Hoffman. She's a guest at that event. She hardly does anime events, so it would be nice to like meet the voice actress of Miyaka in the Pioneer dub, and she also did Lane from Serial Experiments Lane. And if we have any Fate fans, she also was the English dub voice of Irisville. I ship Irisville and Saber, but unfortunately, Fate did not exist back in 1998. Got some more cosplayers here. Oh wow, I love that washu. I totally love that wig because like back in the day, you really had to get creative to make those wigs work, especially when you're looking at 90s and 80s anime hair. You got Sanosuke from Kenshin, Anthe, and we also have someone from Yorosei Yatsura. All right, as night fell, Otakon's costumers turned out in force, and the digital camera was ready to capture their images. All right, let's see who's here. All right, looks like we got some Oh My Goddess. Oh, let's hope Ryoga was actually able to find his way to Otakon, and looks like he did. Well, let's assume that Otakon was the destination. See, I want to say that's from Sailor Moon because I'm getting some Malachite vibes from the cape. We got Vincent from Final Fantasy VII. We got Gori from Slayers. Scrolling down. Oh, I love the ears on that one. I want to say that's the bunny girl from that one Gainax music video. The Daikon one. Yeah, if you look up the Daikon music video that Gainax did, it's really cute. It's like bunny girl versus Darth Vader. It's so cute. Look it up. And it's set to ELO music. Specifically Twilight. I love that song. We got Ayeka from Tenchi Muyo. It's funny because like when I was growing up, Ayeka was my favorite character. And then I was a Kione stan. Alright, then again, I have a bias towards purple hair, so. Alright, let's look at more cosplayers at Otakon 98. Otakon highlights even more cosplayers. Alright, we got Ranma. I want to say that's Chichiri. Like someone doing their best to try to do like the coolie hat over there. Yeah, looks like we got some. Oh, we have Miyaka and Tamahome. That's adorable. So scrolling down. Yeah, as you can see here, Kevin. This is like the early days of cosplay photography. So, the photos you see here, these were referred to as hall cosplay photos, where you would just kind of like stop a cosplayer in their tracks, and you would just ask for a photo, like, "Hey, can I have a photo of you?" Snap. We got Amelia from Slayers. Oh, we got a really cute Sailor Moon over there. Oh, she has the one too. That's adorable. Got Yuffie. And then we have Alucard from Pennsylvania. Unless I'm wrong. Alright, let's go into panel land. Some people love anime and manga characters so much they want to extend those characters through the stories they write. We sat in on a fanfiction panel. Oh my, I wonder if I recognize these people, because I used to read a lot of Sailor Moon fan fiction and a lot of MST3K style fan fiction, when you would take like bad fan fiction and you would insert these characters from MST3K just kind of riffing on said fan fiction. I was a huge fan of that in the late 90s. Alright, the fan fiction panel, let's go. Whether they think they can do a better job than the original authors, want to find new vistas for their favorite characters, have an idea they would like to explore, or just want to have some fun. Some anime and manga fans spend hours writing new stories for the fictional people they love. A panel of fan fiction writers took stage during the first night of Otakon. Okay, if you keep track of the stories posted on Usenet or fan websites, you've noted that the stories have gotten longer over the past few years. Author Sean Gaffney said his stories started short, then got longer. I used to knock off a story in the afternoon, he said. It's a matter of how comfortable you feel. If you get rid of the flimsy padding, you can make something interesting and make something long and keep it interesting. Authors may like longer stories, but readers may not have the same time or patience to digest in a large tale at once. When a story is accepted by the moderators of the rec.arts.anime.creative newsgroup, oh, I remember news groups. The moderators usually divide the story into chapters. One of the longer stories, doled out in daily sections, took nearly a month to distribute on Usenet. Oh dear. Then there's the question of segs. What inspires those tales that received the lemon label? I'm just a slave of my muses, author Jeff Hosmer said. There are times when my characters run away with the stories. Other authors said they have a hard time writing stories where segs advances the plot, rather than just titillating the reader. No comment. Alright. And speaking of writing, others help create those characters through translations of the original manga. They say that literal translations don't always get the point across. Alright, in the chat we have Random Person. Hey, yeah, I'm doing great. So just sit back, relax, pour yourself a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink, and let's take a trip through Otakon 1998. We're just going through our panel section, so if you're tuning in right now, this is what it looked like back then. Otakon highlights day 1, August 7th, 1998. Who remembers where they were on August 7th, 1998? I probably was at Disneyland. Probably on Splash Mountain with Brer Rabbit and friends. Stupid vultures talking about my death. They all publish translated manga. Mix Entertainment, represented by Stuart Levy. Studio Proteus, represented by Dina Lewis. And Viz Communications, represented by Tris Ledoux. They gathered at an Otakon panel to tell how they handle the transformation of manga from Japanese to American English. They agree that a U.S. publisher's goal must be to create an understandable product rather than a literal word-for-word translation. When I'm reading it in Japanese and I laugh and I cry and I'm entertained, it's that feeling. That thing moves me as a reader that I want to translate into the English language, said Levy. The timing is crucial in comedy. Keeping that flow going is important for the reader. If you laugh at one point, it's because the author wanted you to laugh at that point. Lewis used the famed "Oh My Goddess" versus "Oh My Goddess" title in question as an example where understanding emotions means more than word-for-word translation. Studio Proteus chose "Oh" for the English title because "ah" isn't a common phrase in English. Also, the translators have to interpret voice of a character from dialect speaking style as it would appear in English. Blade of the Immortal mixes formal Japanese speech with street talk, and the translation has to get that across in a style that something isn't authentic. Why are some characters talking like Tokyo street kids? Because they are, said Lewis. We discussed whether we would play it straight or try the author's radical ideas, and we decided to go with the author. No one speaks in that bland, homogenized tone. There's characterization, Ledoux said, but if you translate it literally, you get a bland translation. Beyond the decision the American translators makes on the characters' voices, Ledoux noted there's another problem. Often manga authors are vague about their intentions, and U.S. publishers have to work around that shortcoming. And let's go in the chat here. Let's see, is Viz Communications related to Viz Media? Yes, they're all in the same. All right, let's talk about Mix Entertainment. Mix Entertainment has some big plans. They'll separate their two biggest manga titles to eliminate complaints and increase sales. Yeah, I used to read like the Mix Sailor Moon translated manga, and Mix, what they wanted to do back in the day, they wanted to copy the Japanese format of like having like those big monthly volume style where you have like multiple mangas in one giant magazine type of thing and put that to shelves It didn't quite work. But let's see what they had to say in 1998. So, yeah, let's see what our friend Stu has to say here. Sailor Moon is a girl's manga favorite. Yeah, it is. With cute faces and flowing adventures. Parasite is a boy's manga favorite, full of blood and severed heads. And a talking hand. Um, the titles coexisted in Mixine, the flagship publication of Mix Entertainment. That will change soon, according to Stuart Levy of Mix, after feeling some heat from those who didn't want shoujo and shonen too close together in a U.S. publication. Sailor Moon and Parasite will be published in different magazines. Now, as an aside, I kind of thought this was a wise thing to do because at the time I was in middle school and I wanted to just have like just something that was like all shoujo because it kind of felt awkward. Like, yeah, I have access to Magic Knight Rayearth, I have access to Sailor Moon, and you have like these other manga titles, Ice Blade and Parasite. Completely different, totally not magical girl shoujo stuff that a middle school student should be reading. Yeah. Sailor Moon goes into a new publication titled Smile, which will feature some of the Sailor Moon Super stories. A separate Sailor Moon series will follow from Mix. Meanwhile, Parasite stays in Mixine, which will add Gundam and Sorcerer Hunters. On that last title, known among many fans as Bakuretsu Hunters, Levy said he decided to follow the lead of AD Vision, which will be calling their anime release Sorcerer instead of Bakuretsu. Mixine has come close as any U.S. publication to matching the large monthly and weekly manga, which contain hundreds of pages. Those massive anthologies won't work in the U.S. Levy said, because dealers don't know how to handle anything other than the 48-page monthly comic, Mixine is an expensive proposition for Mix, but it's worth the effort to bring new titles to the public, which can be spun off into their own monthly series, he said. No, Otakon 98 was not the first one. I believe you can go to animecons.org to look up when the first Otakon took place. This was just Kevin Lillard's first time covering Otakon. So animecons.com, or was it .org? I forgot. Actually does list how many times each con has taken place, and it's a really good archive for that reference. And I believe you can also look it up on Wikipedia. When was the first Otakon? I wish we had someone in here from Otakon who could tell us a little bit more, because normally sometimes we'll have someone in the chat who can provide us more context to all the things. Yes, red eyes. Also a staple of 90s photography. Like, now we can correct that stuff with our phones, but back in the day, even with digital technology, we could not autocorrect red eye. We had to fix that in post. Okay. All right, Evangelion voice actors. So this is the OG Evangelion cast from AD Vision. I remember this cast because I was cheap and I could only afford to buy the dub VHS tapes at $25. 2 episodes per tape. Otakon highlights Evangelion voice actors, August 7th, 1998. The final episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion were among the most awaited U.S. anime releases in recent years. Fans wanted to learn the fates of the strange children who piloted against the giant Evas against the angels. Even though some fans have heard that the final 2 episodes were unusual, they didn't realize how strange they were until AD Vision released them. They found those episodes were a cross between Stargate sequence in 2001 and a Fellini film, Talkie and Unfocused, a stream of consciousness meandering that left some Eva questions unanswered. When the American voice actors who handled the lead roles in those episodes were asked about the final volume, they admitted they had trouble understanding it. Ha! Who didn't? The last 2 episodes of Eva, I had no idea what was going on, said Tristan McAvery, who played Gendo. I had to figure how I should read the part, flat or philosophical. McAvery and the other actors said there was nothing wrong with the English translation, that the Japanese original was incomprehensible. See, this is why we like to preserve these reports, because these are things that you can no longer find on Fansview. It's no since it's no longer an active site. We had to go to Web Archive to look this up, and we are all about preserving fandom history and the memories, the quotables of all that. The woman, the women who played the female Ava pilots also spoke about how they approached their roles. Amanda Winley was cast against type as a taciturn Rei Ayanami, and said, "I got into a weird mode. I can't describe it. It's a good thing I'm in a little padded room when I'm doing it because that's where she belongs. She knows she's expendable, but the thing is, she's still human, so you can't do her totally catatonic." Tiffany Grant plays Soryu Asuka Langley, a character who's outspoken to more than a fault. She says the most horrible things to people, things you'd like to say to people and can't get away with. It's refreshing. Grant admits there may be some similarity in her outspokenness, and Langley's has some sympathy for the character who in the anime discovers her mother's, can't say it on streams or YouTube, her mother's unaliving. Do you think she's going to be a normal person? Okay, let's head over to day two. All right, day two. August 8th, 1998. The flood of cosplayers to Otakon was unrelenting. Here we take a look at some of the people who arrive in costume on Saturday. Okay, let's just take a look at just some of these cosplays here on Saturday. We got Lena Inverse. If you know any of these costumes, or any of these fandoms, you can leave them in the comments, leave them in the chat. Looks like we got Sammy over there. We have a shampoo. And like I mentioned before, it was very common to just get a Chinese dress, do your hair up just a little bit, and call yourself shampoo. It was one of the more common outfits to wear back in the day. I would have done the same thing if I had access to a Chinese dress and if my hair was a little bit longer. Okay, we got Vampire Princess Miyu. We have Vincent. We have Rui from Martian Successor Nadeshiko. Yeah, Mario never goes out of style. We got Magic Knight Rayearth. I'm very happy that Magic Knight Rayearth is making a comeback, and I'm very happy you could also stream Magic Knight Rayearth for free on Retro Crush. Now you too can check out one of my favorite isekais. Okay, we got Sailor Mars. We have Chichiri. Looks like we got a Chibi Chibi and a Sailor Mars. We got a Slayer's crew over there. We have Eternal Sailor Moon. Yes, we have Sakura from Sakura Wars, one of my personal favorites. I really love that Sakura Wars was really big back in the day. We also got Sailor Mars. Hey, it looks like Sailor Mars is the popular Senshi at Otakon 98. Alright, let's take a look at more cosplay photos from 1998. Let's see how we did it back then. Yes, we have Genma, the panda. Oh my god. It's so funny because I've been telling a lot of my friends yeah, I'm cosplaying Ranma from this year. I need someone to be my dad. You could just wear a panda kigurumi suit, wear a panda one piece. And sometimes Kevin will get folks in regular clothes, and you can also get a taste of late 90s fashion here. So I like the fact that we actually do have photos of people in late 90s fashion, subculture, alt fashion of the 90s, because it really captures the time period of the type of people, the type of fashion that was prevalent at anime conventions back then. If you weren't in cosplay, well, what were you wearing? And I really appreciate that Kevin also captured that side of fandom, that side of just getting everyone on camera, just getting the vibes. Okay, we got a Kyo over there. We have Moonlight Knight, not to be confused for Moon Knight. Okay, just scrolling through here. Yeah, and those are our cosplayers for this section. All right, the lights were dim of the masquerade, but the spirits were high, and the chorus of cosplayer was large. Here's a look at the first groups who performed in the costume contest. All right, let's take a look at these cosplay contest entries. Some of these fandoms I might not recognize off the cuff, but again, if you know what they are, shout them out in the chat. Shout them out in the comments. Okay, I know that's Oh My Goddess, or rather, Oh My Goddess, as we've learned. I love that spatula from Ukyo. Are you team ramen or are you team okonomiyaki? I'm so looking forward to the new Rama anime coming out this year. Well, we don't know when it's coming out, but I'm glad it was announced. Got Cloud Strife there. Again, it seems like Sailor Mars is like the go-to costume and like the most popular cosplay of this con. I can't complain. I do love me some Sailor Mars. Well, then again, I'm a little bit biased because I cosplay as Sailor Mars. Scrolling through. Oh, I love how someone cosplayed as one of the angels from Evangelion. That's funny. Oh, hey, it's a Doraemon. That's adorable. I love it. Okay, that was like our first batch of our masquerade contestants, followed by pictures of second groups of performers at this link. Okay, Otakon Highlights Masquerade and Cosplay Part 1, August 8th, 1998. Okay, looks like we have more photos from a Final Fantasy skit over there. Scrolling through. It looks like that's a Kenshin skit. I want to say that sang from Final Fantasy 7, one of the Shinra folks. Okay, we got like, looks here, it's like a random skit of randomness. We got like the Salt Lick Angel, Ava Unit 1. We got Misato. Oh, and Pen Pen plush. Looks like here we got Darkstalkers versus Slam Dunk. I'd play that game. Okay, we got like a mix of different Sailor Moon, this and that. We got Galaxia. Oh, that's a really cool Galaxia. Got almost a full Sailor Senshi team over there. Got Devil Hunter Yoko. Oh yes, Panda. Magic Knight Rares. I recognize some of these cosplayers from the Hall cosplay photos. Okay, and images of third groups which took the stage can be found here. Yes, we have Ramses in the chat. Welcome to Saturday of Otakon. We are just going through the parade of costumers at the masquerade. Well, looks like Pikachu attacked someone. Oops. Oh, I love that washu and that wig. Again, we really had to be creative in how we had to interpret wild anime hair. Scrolling through. Oh, wow, that's a really neat Tenchi group do there too. And then we have Lum and what I assume is Ataru. I've actually been watching the brand new Urusei Yatsura anime on High Dive. It's actually really good. I really enjoy it. And it gives me high hopes for the new Rama 1/2 series. Yeah, we got some more here. We got the Catgirl twins from Escaflowne. And in the audience, it looks like, okay, Ramses, help me out here, because you're the professor. Who's this guy? Because I'm like, it's Kamen Rider something, or it's Ultraman something. I'm not really versed in this part of tokusatsu, so maybe you can help me out here. Oh, it's Pris from Bubblegum Crises. Okay, got it. My apologies. I really need to watch Bubblegum Crises again because I love the soundtrack and feel like a fake fan right now because Konya wa Hurricane is like one of my favorite anime songs. All right, at the end of the night, the judges bravely strode forward to confer their awards in front of a passionately yearning audience. All right, who were the award winners? Yes, Rams, I agree. The designs in Bubblegum Crisis are classic. I like that design of that world. Again, I really just want to watch that series again. I don't know if it's streaming somewhere because I just been like watching a lot of anime from like back in the day that I missed out on because I didn't have time. Because remember, back in the day, you really had to have mad money to be an anime fan because anime was pretty expensive. If especially if you're getting it through VHS tapes and you wanted to support the original series because there was like this highbrow kind of mentality, and there was a saying back in the day which I disagree with. I honestly disagree with, and thank goodness they're streaming. The saying went, "Anime is a privilege, not a right," and I'm like, oh please. You're telling this to a middle school student who wants to um, watch the Raiders anime and can only buy the skim of their allowance, can afford a $30 VHS tape with like maybe 4 episodes, Japanese audio subtitled, and the dub version was at $5 less at $25. Get out of town. Anyway, let's talk more about the Masquerade winners. Oh yes, Doraemon won Best of Show. Then here we have Galaxia for Best Craftsmanship. Yeah, that looked like a really cool Galaxia. I'm just like looking, just eyeballing it. Like, oh wow, she did an amazing job just putting that all together. Best Presentation Award went to Evangelion with the angels from the end of Evangelion movie who did terrible things to my Asuka. Best Group Award. Looks like there's Eva Unit 1. Best Novice Craftsman Short. Like, if we click on the image, we'll be able... Nope. Sadly, we do not know what the Best Craftsmanship Award was for Novice. Just Because We Said So Award. Oh my goodness. If I was judging a masquerade today, I totally need to make this a thing. I need to totally make this an award. The Just Because We Said So Award. No reason given, just because we said so. Richard Pokemon Kim's Award. I'm pretty sure there is lore behind this Pokemon. It looks like it went to a Martian successor, Nadeshiko cosplayer. Chad Dietrich's Award. Looks like it went to Pris in the Boomer suit. Okay, Boomer. Jeff Thompson's award went to, I went to the panda, I went to Genma, that is adorable. And I think we wanted to get Professor Ramses in a Genma onesie. Maria Tucker's award went to that Serenity. Looks like she did the wig with yarn. That's actually pretty creative. Okay, Brad Diedrich's award went to the twins from Escaflowne. I forgot their names. It's been a while since I've seen Escaflowne. Amanda Winley's award went to, it's Kagome and Inuyasha, I would presume, because the manga was just getting its start back then. Hiroshi Aro's award, and this is the guy behind Futabakun Change, and it looks like it went to the slam dunk person here. Alright, let's talk some panels. Manga artist Hiroshi Aro had never been to the US until his trip to Otakon. He was pleasantly surprised to discover that the number of fans who demanded the release of his Futabakun Change. Hiroshi Aro never wanted to be a salaryman in Japan. From childhood, he wanted to be a manga artist. Aro spent much of high school sketching his ideas, starting many a manga series and leaving them unfinished. Inspired by artists such as Gogen Nagai and Osamu Tezuka, Aro got his wish and works as a professional manga artist with one full-time assistant and two part-timers. Aro's works are a part of the manga flood that submerged Japan every week. One of Aro's titles rose above the rest and drew the attention of hardcore fans in the US. A story about a high school student who changes from male to female, which his emotions rise. Futaba-kun Change drew so much underground fan support that Studio Iron Cat decided to release it in translated form in the US. The release of the first issue coincided with Otakon and Aro's trip to the convention. Alright, I had to ask my buddy Steve Bennett about this next time I meet with him in the Weeaboo Boomers chat room. Futaba-kun Change is not another Ranma one-half, according to Aro. I was curious. If a boy was in a female body, what would he do? Aro said. The theme is the anguish that a boy has because he possesses the bodies of two genders. Anguish might be a bit too strong of a term to describe Aro's series, which broadly played for the comedy in the beginning. Only a few of the stories in the series come from Aro's high school experience. He made up the rest. Aro, who enjoyed reading Superman-inspired comics as a child, was pleasantly surprised to find how many Americans were interested in his works. That artwork takes a long time to get out of Aro's head onto paper despite his assistance. Unlike most artists who sketch out an entire page and its panels at once, Aro insists on completing one panel before moving on to the next, and that slows him down. Alright, let's see. So we're going to discuss another guest here. Well, this is one of my personal favorites, and one day I hope to meet him. For most anime fans, the series that started their fandom was Robotech. Shoji Kawamori created the mecha that made Macross memorable and continues to carry the Macross name into the future of anime. Just over 15 years ago, America saw a TV series called Robotech, a science fiction animated cartoon of the likes the US had never seen. Many of its fans discovered that the heart of Robotech was a Japanese television series called Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, and that discovery led them into a wider world of anime. Shoji Kawamori, the man who created Macross Mecha and now carries the Macross franchise and a newer series, Vision of Escaflowne, attracted so many Otakon fans that his panel had to be moved to a larger room. While Robotech started Americans on the road to anime fandom, for Kawamori, it was Lupin III, a series which has more than its share of American influences, followed by Space Cruiser Yamato and Gundam. It might seem natural for the mech designer to be influenced by Gundam and its giant robots, but Kawamori took one step further. He also liked airplanes that led him to create the memorable transforming mecha seen in Macross. Transforming mecha weren't new to Japan when Macross went into production, but believable transforming mecha hadn't been seen according to Kawamori. I wanted to create mecha that were close to reality as possible, he said. Then I decided if I concentrated on the transformation process, that would be the best way to go. A look at the design of the F-14 fighter showed some areas where aerodynamics had left space for airflow. Kawamori's imagination turned into areas that could be filled by the mechanism of the machine that transformed from the fighter jet to fighting humanoid robots, and the Macross look was born. Kawamori mentioned that he is working on a script for a Vision of Escaflowne movie and a Macross game for the Sony PlayStation. Fans asked of Kawamori if he would tell more stories involving the characters of the original Macross series, and he answered that new stories with old characters aren't his style. I want to keep from creating something I've created before, Kawamori said. And according to the chat, Professor Ramsey says that Kawamori also created Optimus Prime. Okay, I probably have to use some censored words since the VOD of this is going up on YouTube, so I'm gonna do my best. Does Seg sell? The American company said it does, but cuteness and adventure and comedy also sells. They're bringing all that from Japan to the US. All right, gotta be careful. All right, okay. Otakon highlights the industry panel, August 8, 1998. They compete, sometimes fiercely, for the rights to sell the top anime series in the US. Then they put the competition aside for a few hours at anime convention to sit side by side on a panel of discussions. Left to right at Otakon, they are Trish Ledoux and Toshifumi Yoshida of Viz Communications, John Cirabella of Media Blasters, Jeff Thompson of Right Stuff, Matt Greenfield of AD Vision, and Steve Pearl of Fuji Sankei. Pearl is best known for his involvement in East Coast anime fandom and extensive information lists on the World Wide Web. But he's moving on to into the production end. Fuji Sankei is making its inaugural anime release in the US with Dragon League, a story of animals, dragons, and dinosaurs, and soccer. Famed Seiyu Megumi Hayashibara handled one of the voices, something featured prominently in the advertising of the initial subtitle release. It's a story recommended for all ages as a part of the wide spectrum of anime. By contrast, Iowa-based The Right Stuff chose Otakon to announce their pending release of Cool Devices, a S&M story of a young woman drawn to the hardcore world of bondage. I told our people that if we don't get hate mail from the right-wing groups, we aren't working hard enough, just said Jeff Thompson of The Right Stuff. Our translator said we could have released it untranslated and no one would care. Okay. I love this guy. For what I'm about to read right now, I love this guy's face. He's like, who, me? Through its kiddie label of adult material, Media Blasters established a reputation and holds that reputation with more kiddie releases with titles such as My Fair Masseuse and Sexorcist. That name seems to make a difference to the buyers, said John Cirabella of Media Blasters. They don't have to know what it's about as long as the name and the sell sheet sells it. That's okay. Yet Media Blasters is covering the mainstream action-adventure market with their anime works label. Recently, they released Earthian and Shinesman, which Cirabella described as Power Ranger style tale of corporate Japan. Oh my goodness, I wish they made more Shinesman. It's like Power Rangers, but it's all these capitalist CEO like business people. It is hilarious. If you find a way to watch Shinesman, it is just the best. Okay, and Media Blasters has moved heavily into live action Asian movies. Toshifumi Yoshida of Viz hinted at a major announcement to come to San Diego Comic-Con. At Otakon, he spoke of his pending release of the Video Girl AI anime and the Video Girl AI manga, which will go into the new Animerica Extra Anthology. Viz has tried and dropped manga lines such as Guyver, Fist of the North Star, and Area 88. Yoshida said those standalone titles likely will not be resurrected in the Animerica Extra because he doesn't want that title to become a manga morgue, where slow-selling series go to die. At one point in the panel, Yoshida made a joke about rival company AD Vision was buying up so many titles. Just 1 second, let me just take a quick drink here. And if we just go in the chat right here, Professor Ramsey says, I think I put Cool Devices down my pants at Anime Expo 2000. No, Cool Devices is just the name of your streaming setup. Yeah, Professor Ramsey's and his Cool Devices. I own a bunch of stuff from Media Blasters' Tokusatsu library. I had no idea they had a Tokusatsu division. And Matt Greenfield of AD Vision looked balefully back at Yoshida in a separate panel appearance. Greenfield went over his company's plans, ranging from the Dirty Pair TV series and OVAs and Dirty Pair Flash to additional soft sell releases in the Angel of Darkness and New Angel stories, and a new title they're calling Idol Singer of Darkness. Greenfield explained that the underground fan favorite known as Bakuretsu Hunters will be released by AD Vision as Sorcerer Hunters because the original Japanese production company wanted that name. And there are no other more Golden Boy episodes to be had because no more have been produced. And Laserdisc will likely face the same fate with the rise of DVDs, he said. Wait, let's read that line one more time. So this was written in 1998, and Laserdisc likely will face the same fate with the rise of DVDs. Oof. It's very interesting because now there's like a huge Laserdisc collector market out right now. I wish I still had a Laserdisc player, but alas, I do not. Because I actually own like a lot of Criterion Collection movies on Laserdisc. I just don't have a machine to play it on. And let's see, in the chat we have Professor Ramses be like, do we tell Matt Greenfield what will happen in 2001? I don't know if we could find him. Is he? I know he's still around, but I know he's still like. I think Rob Miles in the chat last week said he owns Sentai Filmworks. I don't know if he's still around. Okay, Otakon highlights American manga artist. The U.S. comics industry can seem like a closed society when you're dreaming of a career as an artist. The doors can seem to stay wedged shut even tighter when you draw in the Japanese manga style instead of the currently fashionable big muscles and breasts mode that litters American superhero comics. 3 American manga artists left to right: Kenosuke Okabayashi, creator of Pineapple; Robert DeJesus, a busy artist for comics and video games; and John Staden, who draws Daniel Duque and Ferdinand Fox, spoke about the comics business at an Otakon panel. Fun fact, I actually went to Robert DeJesus' wedding. Okabayashi has bridged the Trans-Pacific comics universes. He studied with Leiji Matsumoto in the East and Carmine Infantino in the West. Okabayashi sees manga as being cute minus the hyper-realistic bodies and violence of US comics, with especially individualistic style, with an attitude that always tries to get an opinion over to the reader, and with a measure of class and dignity. American comics are too bureaucratically produced for Okabayashi, who does not like the assembly line pattern of separate penciler, inker, color artist, and letterer. Still, he would like to break away with a major American comics company. The alternative is self-publishing, which sounds brave but gets expensive real fast, especially when artists have to advertise to convince dealers to carry their books. Europeans' art never grabbed me, Staden said. Some people get on artists who are drawing in the Japanese style because of the iconography of the characters, they say. Why do you draw all of the big eye stuff? I find the characters to be expressive and pretty darn cute, Staden says, enjoying the cinematic style of manga, which he uses panels and pages to set the mood rather than to rush a plot along. He prefers the Japanese pattern where a single artist creates a manga story from plot and dialogue to layout and drawing. In US comics, sometimes the actual dialogue isn't created until after the pages are drawn. That can lead to a nice looking page that is really incomprehensible. Manga are choreographed in that way, even if you don't speak Japanese. You can tell what's going on. DeJesus enjoys the trend of manga-style comics from the major US companies. However, he worries that the Japanese style that they're mimicking comes only from a handful of artists such as Shiro Masamune. If you have something that looks like Sailor Moon, well, it'd sell, he said. So how'd you break into the comics business? As much as DeJesus likes anime conventions, he admits they're not good places to start to advance a career. Rather, he said artists should head to industry comic conventions to look for company representatives. If an editor looks at your work and doesn't like it, don't get offended. Listen. People are offended by critiques, but only the best will take those critiques and make them work for you, he said. Finally, studying film techniques such as cinematography and lighting can help comic artists who are drawing what are little more than glamorized film storyboards. Um, De Jesus points to the success of manga artist Kenichi Sonata, who started as a storyboard artist before he started drawing comics in Japan. Okay, the number of anime titles sold in the US grows by leaps and bounds, but is not close to matching the tsunami of titles available in Japan. Experts look at the trends developing in those series. Otakon highlights TV anime August 8, 1998. Go to an anime convention, head to the dealer's room, look at the tables covered with anime. The booths stuffed with anime merchandise, and you get the feeling that each and every anime series is represented in that room. Nowhere close than an anime expert at an Otakon panel. There's so much anime in Japan that it's hard to have a chance to see it all. America gets more anime than ever before, but there's far more in Japan that never heads this way. Oh, ain't that the truth? Because I remember, like, this is the period I was getting into a lot of romantic comedy shoujo anime, like Marmalade Boy. And I would never think that an anime like Marmalade Boy would get a licensing. And it finally did get a licensing, like maybe like 4 or 5 years later, but that was just almost completely unheard of. Because what would normally get prioritized for licensing were like the shonen stuff, or the really fan service stuff, for lack of a better word. Translator Neil Nadelman said that there are great titles for anime in Japanese television, the source of most of the anime that comes to US. Neon Genesis Evangelion, Martian successor Nadeshiko, Vision Escaflowne, and Fushigi Yugi are among the TV series from recent years that have generated a big fan followings in the US. Evangelion, with its flooded merchandise, is seen as a hot series that spurred productions to develop the next Eva. Titles such as Cowboy Bebop and Brain Powered are among those vying for audiences in Japan. Yes, let's talk about that newfound Cowboy Bebop. Yet Needleman reminds us that Theodore Sturgeon's law applies. 90% of everything is crap. For all the hot series coming to the US, there are plenty of Japan only mediocrities. It's still good for artists to make good animation series. The TV series vary widely in quality. Some, like Escaflowne, are like OAV quality in a TV series. Others aren't as good as the TV anime from the 1980s. American fans who enjoyed two Silent Mobius movies would be disappointed in the new Silent Mobius TV series, Needleman said, saying it looked like it had the bare minimum of funding to get going. I actually have a friend who cosplays from Silent Mobius. I was actually talking to her earlier today because she's like part of Masquerade staff at Anime Expo this year. All right, our friend Steve. Steve, who fell asleep during Maison Koku. Steve Bennett took a cell painting workshop to Otakon, where people learn how to have fun with anime, even if they have no artistic talent. This page last visited Steve Bennett's cell painting workshop at Anime Week at Atlanta 3, invited by Studio Ironcat, invited back by the Studio Ironcat artist. We headed down to the hall where Bennett held courts, meeting old friends. Let's see, we go in the chat, just kind of like just alluding to the last panel. Professor Ramsey says, it's funny that people were chasing Ava, the Ava unicorn, but now want to chase the Cowboy Bebop unicorn. So true. And we found that the room was packed with people who were learning about the latest glamorous job in anime, hand painting the cells which make up each show. Before the cells are photographed, one after another in sequence, they must be colored. In Japan, it takes hours of intense work to get the colors right. Get it wrong, and even at the film's 24 frames per second, an error stands out and could mean an anime sequence needs to be reshot. We couldn't help but peek over the shoulders of the few participants. This effort looks this effort looks as if it's off to a good start. The artist seems to have a good idea of shading and highlights, having colored those areas before applying the overall skin tone. Okay, it looks like we can see a dirty pair over there. This one doesn't look as good, showing how hard it can be to get those skin tones just right. While cel painters have some colors pre-mixed for them, they often must create tones by mixing primary colors. It's something that anime fans don't appreciate until they take Bennett's workshop. His classes at anime conventions give fans a better understanding of the work and skill that go into the films they enjoy. It's also fun to play a grown-up version of coloring with Bennett's nicely drawn cells of fan favorite characters. All right, so that covers day 2. All right, let's check out day 3. All right, last day, Otakon day 3, August 9, 1998. But before we go through that, let me just take a quick drink because it's nice to hydrate. Here are the two Here are the two sides of the never-ending sub versus dub argument presented at Otakon. First, the views of voice actors who handled the dubbing duties. Hardcore fans of the kind that attended Otakon tend to prefer their anime in the original Japanese with subtitles. The general public disagrees. At an Otakon panel of voice actors, the point was raised that most anime sales in the US are of dub tapes and disc. Depending on the title, anywhere from 60% to 90% of sales are dubs. That goes against the American otaku attitude, which wants to hear the cadences and inflections of Japanese seiyuu. American voice actor Amanda Winley in Ray and Ava wonders if sub fans know what they're hearing. Unless you're fluent in Japanese, it's impossible to tell if there's bad acting. Voice actor Michael Brady joined in a discussion about the typical sub-loving English-speaking fan. It's like he's filling in all the blanks himself, but he won't give the dub the benefit of a doubt, Brady, the Crusher Joe voice actor, has said that sub fans forgive the technical flaws of anime acting, like voices not matching lip flaps on screen, but are hypercritical of dub acting. Anyone who takes anything too seriously, I absolutely must make fun of it, said Brady. Juliet Cesario, Baldandy, and Oh My Goddess sees a swing towards dub watching among the next generation of convention goers and anime watchers, those 7 through 12. Young kids watch only dubs and don't know about the subs. For the young kids who are getting into anime, it's all animation. They don't understand the cultural meaning of it all. The panel members said only among American anime fans is there a phenomenon of people demanding to hear acting in a foreign language they don't understand. Move away from the American mainland, and TV movie watchers expect to hear voices in their native language. Lisa Ortiz, Lena Inverse in Slayers, told trips of Puerto Rico, where she saw nothing but dub films. In that U.S. Commonwealth, voice actors match Hollywood roles and become celebrities in their own rights. It's exactly how we would treat our stars, Ortiz said. Scott Simpson, Keiichi, and Oh My Goddess noted that the U.S. anime industry grosses around $100 million annually. The number sounds big, but it pales in comparison to the billions made by the entertainment industry. Simpson thinks that dubs will be crucial to the expansion of anime into the American and entertainment mainstream. He's not wrong. Okay, fan sub power. I used to watch fan subs all the time. Anime's popularity is unusual among U.S. entertainment that in It it came from the bottom up. Instead of studios producing films and trying to sell them to the public, the hardcore fans discover their favorites from Japan. Then American companies buy the rights to those underground favorites and sell them commercially. Key to the below of radar discovery of anime series by fandom, organized and otherwise, is the fan sub. Anime on which American fans have added their own subtitle translations. I see that Karma has her own opinions on the sub versus dub debate. If you can hear the cat in the background, that is Karma. She's weighing in on her thoughts on the sub versus dub debate. Alex Metulish who wrote the Jacko sub computer program for the Japanese Animation Club of Orlando, and Neil Nadelman, who started as a fan subber, now works as a professional translator, had insights into the fan sub world at Otakon. Back in the good old days of anime fandom, before widespread distribution of hundreds of titles in the US, fans gathered in clubs and strained to understand what they could get from Japan. What was really strange... Hang on one second. Alright, hang on one second. I'm just going to take care of something really quick because someone wants to sit on my lap. And her name is Karma. Oh, you gave me your toy. Okay. Alright, we just have a kitty on my lap right now who wants to be held. Everyone say hi to Karma. She is my kitty. She works with me in the cottage. Alright. Back in the good old days of anime fandom, before widespread distribution of hundreds of titles in the US, fans gathered in clubs and strained to understand what they could get from Japan. What was really strange would be when the only guy in the room who would understand Japanese would start laughing, and everyone would look at him and ask, "What did he say?" Matulish remembered. I'm still amazed that I got hooked on anime even though I could not understand it. The combination of Jacko Sub, personal computers that could program to add subtitles, and dedicated fans who worked unpaid hours to translate and transform anime and let fans understand what they were watching. With the proliferation of fan subs, anime became less mysterious and more popular, what the panelists said. They probably wouldn't be much of an anime industry without fan subs, said Matulish. Nadelman said that the fan subs created a market for commercial subs. Without the fan versions, the U.S. anime industry would have immediately switched over to dubbing. The big video change don't want to buy subtitles, said Nadelman. The dark side of fan subs is bootlegging. Some fan subs find their way into the hands of people who copy and sell them. The presence of those bootlegs have led companies to crack down on fan subs, as happened when the industry formed the jailed consortium a few years ago. Nadelman said fan subbers can't stop bootlegs. When it leaves your possession, you don't have control of it anymore. You don't intend for it to become a commercial product, but it becomes a commercial product. Alright, let's take a look at some costumes. Next, we glance at some of the costumers and unusual sights at Otakon. Alright, let's look at 90s cosplay, and we are in our last day of Otakon. Looks like we got, I assume that is Tiffany Grant, the voice actress of Asuka, with an Asuka cutout statue, cutout cardboard right there. Okay, we're scrolling through. I love how this dude is wearing like a Ghost in the Shell shirt. Looks like we're just fixing some AVO Unit 1 here. Oh, that's an amazing Miyaka cosplay. We got Darkstalkers and Pikachu. We got Asuka's and an Angel. Slayers. Awesome. Got Tifa from 7. Just scrolling through here. Yep. And then we collected so many pictures of costumers and people doing unique things that we had to put them in 2 pages. I always love seeing like when people, whenever they do con reports, they had like some sort of like odds and ends, like miscellaneous kind of section. So let's see what the vibe was at Otakon, because you can really get a vibe check of the con when you just kind of look at like, yeah, let's just kind of look at some of the stuff here. Yeah, just scrolling through. A lot of shoujo themed costumes there. Yeah, Slayers looked like it was pretty big this year too. Ukyo and the spatula. Scrolling through. Yeah, a lot of Sailor Moon goodness. I thought when you said like there's some oddities in here. And unique things. I guess unique things is just kind of people just chilling and vibing. Because sometimes like people will do like postings of like, yeah, here's a random plushie doing something random, or this is like a flyer that was distributed around. Something to that effect. All right. Last but not least, finally notes from the author while getting ready to head back home. All right, let's read Kevin's final thoughts on Otakon. Otakon highlights author's notes, August 10, 1998. So it looks like he wrote this after Otakon, because sometimes he'll write his final thoughts while he's waiting for his flight. So let's take a look at what Kevin thought of Otakon 1998. John Schofield, the chairman of Otakon, was worried that the attendance at the 1998 was worried about the Let's do this again, shall we? John Schofield, the chairman of Otakon, was worried about the attendance at the 1998 event. With a new location and competition from the World Science Fiction Convention in Baltimore, he wasn't certain how many people would show for Otakon. Schofield had no reason to worry, as many people were on hand for Otakon 98's opening day as the same day as the entire 1997 event. He said the total attendance of the weekend was around 2,500, making Otakon the second largest anime convention in the US. Anime Expo remains the largest, and Mike Tatsugawa, president of the Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation, Anime Expo's organizer, was on hand at Otakon. Otakon found a more comfortable new home at the Hyatt Regency Crystal City. The hotel has an unusual inverted design with ballrooms and meetings rooms in a sub-basement 2 floors below the lobby. There's no feeling of being in a cave because the middle of the convention area is an atrium designed to collect sunlight. The facility had plenty of room for the fans to stretch out. Those fans spent time in line for some video presentations, the costume contest, and to get autographs from the guests of honor. They didn't spend much time in the registration line. When the author went to get his badge on Friday, he noticed that barely anyone was in the pre-registration line, and hundreds were in the line to register on site. The author got his badge, went back to his room, dropped off his luggage, and set up the laptop, and returned to the main convention floor, and the on-site registration was nearly empty. There were no more long registration lines for the rest of the weekend. At most conventions, the high point is the masquerade. At Otakon, cosplay was nearly topped by the Mysteries Anime Theater 3000 presentation on Friday night. This fan-produced version of the cable TV favorite got up to a slow start, but once the reproductions of Crow and Tom Servo were in place, the fans put on a hilarious show. To the audience's delight, they ripped off Battle Arena Toshinden to shreds. Some fan parodies are hit and miss affairs, but every joke in Mystery Anime's Theater 3000 stuck home. Yes, the cosplay started late, and the stage lights were too dim for comfortable picture taking. Some of the video presentations were late, and one of the Macross movies was delayed in shipping and wasn't shown. The author didn't care. More important than the things that go wrong at any con is the fact that the con exists. It's a modern miracle that America has anime fandom and anime conventions. Lewinsky versus Clinton versus Starr was playing out its electronic soap opera themes just across the Potomac. The front page of the Washington Post showed the devastation of the embassy's bombings in Africa, and Otakon just kept rolling. Beyond that, Otakon was held during an important anniversary. 53 years earlier, atomic bombs that had dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No one at the con noticed the anniversary. To the author, that's an important note. Not because anime fans have no sense of history, but because they've overcome history. 1/2 century ago, during the bitter war in the Pacific, no one could have foreseen that Americans and Japanese would be gathering to celebrate Japanese culture, and no one could have seen that anime, a special blend of Japanese and American culture, would be so popular. The bitterness left by war has been replaced by the enthusiasm of today's youth. In a world where some nations hate each other for generations, the love and excitement between Americans and Japanese shown at anime conventions is something remarkable and shouldn't be taken for granted. And that, my friends, concludes Otakon 1998. But there's another thing I wanted to bring up here. Here's something extra. Otakon had a wonderful series of membership badges featuring popular anime characters. Fans who went to Otakon could choose from 12 badge designs. How about that? You can see scans of one group of badge forms at this link, and check out the rest of the badge forms at this link. Okay, let's take a look at what badges Otakon had for attendees. And you tell me in the chat which of these badge designs would you have chosen for your badge. Okay, we have Mew, we have Nadia. Not sure who she is. Ooh, Minmay. Let's see. That looks like Martian successor Nadeshiko. All right. I think from this set, I probably would choose Minmay because idol reasons. But let's take a look at the second set. Maybe I'll change my mind. So right now, I would have chosen Minmay for my 98 badge. Because at the time, I was big into Macross. I was a Do You Remember Love fan. Still one of my all-time favorite anime movies. Okay, we have Erd from Oh My Goddess. We have Asuka. We have Lina and Naga. You look familiar. Sae from I Want to Learn Magic. Ooh, Sakura. Oh, that is a tough decision. Do I want Sakura or do I want Minmay? Choices. But yeah, you tell me in the chat. You tell me in the comments. Which of these would you have loved to have on your badge? Which badge would you have chosen? Because back in the day, like, you only had like one badge design for your like AnimeCon badge. But what I like here, what Otakon did is like you can choose between multiple designs. Choose one. And right now I'm between like I had to flip a coin between Minmay and Sakura. But likely because I was a huge Macross fan back then, I would have picked Minmay. But that's just me personally because I was a Mariajima stan, and yeah, Macross, Minmay have a very special place in my heart. And with that said, this wraps up our review and wraps up our trip back to Otakon 1998 in Arlington, Virginia. We do these reports, we do these streams to memorialize Kevin Lillard, what he contributed to the fandom, and we're going to be doing more of these every Friday. Next Friday, it's kind of we're probably not going to be online because of the 4th of July weekend. But if there's a convention from back in the day you want to learn more about, because Kevin, he's covered SoccerCon, he's covered AWA, Katsukon. If you want to learn more about conventions back in the day, let me know which convention you want me to cover, and I could see if Kevin has done a report about that convention. We're definitely going to be covering more Otakon. We're definitely going to cover some Anime Central because I went to Anime Central back in 2001. But we like to keep these reports going because we want to preserve what Kevin did for the anime community, and we also want to preserve histories because we need to look back at our past in fandom to see how far we've gone, and we can't take this past for granted because I really feel that fandom nowadays is taking the past for granted, and we need to just kind of keep telling these stories, preserve like what was in the past so we can further move forward and have a better future in fandom. And with that said, we miss you, Kevin. You'll always will be in our hearts. We know you're watching over us. And with that said, thank you so much for joining us tonight for another edition of Fansview Fridays. And we hope to see you at the con. All right, thank you so much for joining me in my virtual cottage, everyone. And with that said, good night.